Hi, this is Jimmy from CreateUp, and today I'm going to be sharing some advanced tips for prospecting with Apollo. And these tips are going to make your workflow a lot easier and smoother, and also going to save you time when you're prospecting with Apollo. So let's get right into it. We're going to cover 4 different topics today. We're going to start with persona, how to create your own persona in Apollo. Now, this is very useful if you know who you want to target. And once you get this set up, you don't need to go and click on all of those filters every single time. You can just select your persona and you're going to get the context that you need. When it comes to custom territories, this is like the expanded persona. I know it's called territories, but it's a lot more than just locations. And we're going to create some territories. It's particularly useful if you have a team, a sales team that is on Apollo. And let's just say you have a new team member, maybe they're not really familiar with the tool. So you can actually make a kind of a template of filters and share with your team so that they are prospecting exactly what's necessary. So you can just do this once and share with them, and they're going to be able to prospect exactly what's necessary. Now, the third thing is signals. Apollo has great signals that are pre-built, and you can start using them right out of the box. But the cool thing is that you can actually create your own signals inside of Apollo, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to create a signal. And the last thing is table layouts, which I know sounds very boring, but is actually like very useful. So let's get started with the persona first. You can create a persona when you're setting up your job titles here. And once you're done setting up, you can click on create a new persona. But I'm going to go to actually the persona tab. And yeah, you can create a persona with AI, and Apollo's AI is going to guide you and help you define your persona. But for this example, let's do a manual one. Let's give it a name like a brand new test persona. And we're gonna start with the job titles. Now, there's something that I actually need to do, so let's make use of this time. I want to target marketing department, and inside of marketing, I want to go for event marketing, field marketing, and in sales, I also want to do field and outside sales. Now, for the management level, I want to go for director, head, VP, partner, and C-level. And I'm not going to type any job titles here. Now, the cool thing is that Apollo is already giving me a preview of prospects, so I can know if they're a good fit or not and how many records were found. Yeah, you can also select industries and keywords. So for industries, I want to go for aviation and aerospace, defense and space, and medical devices. You can also do keywords. You can exclude industries, exclude keywords, the same thing like you would do with normal filters. Now, you don't have to set up location and employees and everything if you don't need to. But for this example, let's just say that we want to look at companies that are located in the States, and we want to look for people that are also in the US. Now, when it comes to employees, let's do from 11 up to 500, and that's giving me 700 records. So I'm just going to save this persona. And it's as easy as that. Just create your filters and save it. Done. Now I don't need to do the filters up here because I have a persona and it's giving me 700 records based on what we put in previously. Okay, so next thing I want to cover is territories. Now this is like the expanded persona. You can do a lot more. So let's go into new territory, name this a brand new territory. And you can assign it to yourself, to specific users in your team or everyone. I'm just gonna do myself, and yeah, just go to add filters. Now at first you will see only a few filters, but if you click on more, you have access to all of Apollo's filters. Now, this is very useful if you have a team and you want to make sure that they are targeting specific job titles or specific regions, locations, specific companies that have this many employees or they have this much revenue. So you can just set up the filters however you like. So let's just say for this example, we want to go for verified and guest emails, where guest emails are 85% or above confidence score, where the job titles are maybe like CMO. We have 40,000 records that are located in Canada. And the contacts are also located in Canada. So again, I'm left with 700. With employees, you can set this up or not, depending on what you need. So you get the idea. You can basically set up any filters that you need for your specific prospecting. So I'm just gonna go with this one and click on Save Filters and click on Save. And that's it. We created a brand new territory. So now when I go to search and I go to territories, it's right here. I just select it and we get exactly the same number of people that we had when we were creating it. Now, as I said, very useful if you have a team, but even if it's just you doing prospecting, it's going to save you a lot of time and make your job a lot easier. All right, now let's look at signals. As I said, you have the pre-made signals from Apollo. But if you go into manage signals, you can actually create your own. So let's go and create a signal. Yeah, if you connect your CRM, you can have custom fields, and based on those custom fields, also have a signal. But for this example, let's just create a new one. And let's do a company signal. So I want to say something like news launch, companies that launched a new product or service, and go to add filters. So I'm not connecting my CRM. So let's just go to news and then new offering and launches. So all the companies that had a launch recently are going to show up. This is preset to last 7 days. So let's do like last 30 days. See how many we can get. 10,000, which is great. There's other things you can leverage here when creating a signal. So you don't need to only do news, like buying intent based on your setup of Apollo, if they have a buying intent considering your services. You have custom fields if you connect your CRM, technologies if they are using a certain technology, if they have a headcount growth, or something similar. So let's just save this, that they had a launch of a new product or service in the last 30 days. And if you use Apollo's dialer and you are doing some cold calling with Apollo, you can also leave notes for your team, but we're not going to do it in this case. Just click on Save Changes. And news launch just showed up here. So companies that launched a new product or service. And if I close this, I'm going to refresh my Apollo and it should show up in the signals tab. So here it is, news launched. Now you can go really crazy with the amount of signals, and we set that one up for companies. Let's just do one for people. So let's say, yeah, people recently promoted. That would be nice. Recently promoted. And add filters. Now let's say time since last promotion from February 1st to today. Save and save again. And now this one is also showing up here. So this is how you differentiate between signals about companies and signals about specific people. All right, now let's look at the table layouts. So I'm just gonna pull up the persona that we created. And you can see here, this is the table, and table layout is right up here. I have a few different layouts, but let's just say we want to create a new one. So click on the new layout, and you can actually set up the columns so that they match your workflow and your needs. Now, maybe I don't need to have contact location. Maybe that's something I don't need, so just remove it. And I want to add something else like account stage, maybe the contact country or scores. And you can rearrange them. Click on next and just say a brand new layout. Now you can make this private, that only you can use this layout, or make it public so that your whole team can use it. Create a new layout. And it should switch to the new layout that we just made. So you can see here are all the scores. Scores depend on your particular setup of Apollo. So basically you give Apollo information about your services or about your products, and they will give you a score if the prospect is a good fit or not for your business. Now the second part of table layouts is actually in the settings here. And if you go to imports and exports and go to CSV export settings, this is where you can define which columns are showing up or which information is going to show up when you export your CSV out of Apollo. Now you can edit both the contact export and account export depending on what kind of search are you doing. So if you search for people, that's the contact export. If you search for companies, that's the account export. Just go to edit settings, and basically you can add or remove any columns from here. I think by default they are all added, but if you don't need some of them, you can just deselect and make sure that your exported file really fits your workflow and it only shows the information that you need, and you're getting rid of some information that maybe is not useful to you. For example, I never really use this Twitter URL, Facebook URL, so I can get rid of that and just click save. And now next time I'm exporting contacts out of Apollo, I'm not going to have to deal with that information. I'm not going to have to go and delete the column inside of Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel. The same thing with account export. Basically, you have everything selected by default, and you can remove any of them that you don't need. So what's something that I don't use? Maybe the SIC codes I don't really use, logo URL, but most of them are useful. So I'm just gonna keep the rest of them, but these two I don't really use, so let's just click Save Settings. So now when I export the list, I don't have those columns that I don't really need to use. So those are the prospecting tips I wanted to share for Apollo. And in the next videos, I'm going to go over some other functions because Apollo can do so much more than just prospecting. So stay tuned for that.